This is a podcast called Saturday Night Popcorn, and this is Jason, and then we also have
I'm Kai.
Kai. Um, but this is we're gonna be kind of like we watched the movie yesterday, we watched the movie last night, and we just kind of want to have like a general conversation about the movie that we watched. We may ask some questions to ourselves, and then we'll kind of go from there. But Kai, I don't know if you want to say what movie did we watch last night or this morning?
Well, you watched it last night, and I watched it this morning. Bro, we watched Birdman
Birdman.
with Michael Keaton,
Yeah, with Michael Keaton, and there's some other people. There's Edward Norton. There's
Naomi
what's
Watts, Emma
uh
Stone.
Emma Stone. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one from The Office. Michael's wife towards the end.
Oh, that's who she was.
Yeah, yeah,
I-
it was a trip because we were watching it and my girlfriend Patty, she was like, "Hey, that's the one from The Office."
I saw her and I couldn't. I was like, do I want to IMDb who this is right now? Like, nah, let me finish
Right.
this movie first.
And then there's some other characters that you'll see. There's a I watched this TV show called New Girl, and there was a previous girlfriend for this character called Smith, and the actress that's plays that previous girlfriend is also in the movie. She's the one that does the like calls him down, calls Michael Keaton's character down from like his dressing room and makes sure that
Mhm.
he's on time and everything. She's that character.
Okay.
But I don't know. The first question I wanted to ask and was ask myself and then ask you first, but
Yeah.
what did you like the most about the movie?
You want to go first? You want me to?
Oh, you can go first.
Okay. I liked, and I think going into the movie, I already knew I was gonna like it, but the cinematography, the cinematography of it, like I love the fact that they try to make it look like one seamlessly shot film.
Same. And I that's like the one key takeaway that I took away from this movie is the cinematography and like you said, but the being able to try to like the whole film looks like it's filmed in one entire shot.
Hmm.
And like you notice the little nuances of like where you can probably pick up on when you watch it if you watch it again or kind of watch like a video that kind of like dissects the movie that you see where like a transition is where like you hope that an entire movie does not get shot on one shot because like there's a lot of moving parts, but there's long extended scenes where it's like you can tell it's one entire shot, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like there's like little points where like maybe they kind of go too close to the wall and or I don't know if you remember in the scenes where they go to the bar that's kind of like down the street from the theater
Oh,
and
with the
as
critic.
yeah, with the critics sitting there, but as they're
Yeah.
walking in and out of the bar, you notice that the it gets so dark in that entryway that's I'm
Yes.
assuming
That's a
that's probably
cut.
where they cut and everything so that they
Well,
like
even
set up
the hallway scene with the daughter.
with
The
the
daughter was
daughter.
walking down. Yeah, she was up on the roof with Edward Norton, and she started to walk downstairs, and it was just black for a while, and then you see it kind of cut, and you get a little bit of light, and you can see her shadow walking down the
Yeah.
stairs.
Yeah, and that's where they end up at that like top area where like they control the lights and everything and you're like,
Yeah, and
okay.
they do some adult things.
Yeah. Some adult things, yes. But yeah, I think the cinematography, I think that kind of like I wrote my thoughts down after I watched the movie.
Hmm.
Um and that's what kind of like I almost kind of like worded it as like it kind of distracted me. Not distracted, it distracted me just understanding as to like how much work probably went into trying to plan each of these long-winded one shot goes.
Oh yeah.
Um where you kind of like where I'm like, all right, I kind of know the gist of the story, but am I losing some of the story nuances? Because I'm assuming there's like a larger kind of like understanding to this story as opposed to just someone that just wants to put on a show on Broadway.
Hmm.
Because there's like other things that kind of like lead up to like the climax of the movie, but I feel like sometimes it I almost got lost in seeing the shot go and be like, oh, where's like I'm like searching for like where they could have possibly like done the cut, or I'm thinking like what like the background people. What if one of them messed up and like fell over or something? Like how many times did that happen?
There was, yeah, I think that did distract me. I think if we would have watched this when it originally came out and we went into the theater and saw it and knew nothing about it being a take on a one take movie, we would have felt differently. But the fact that it's been out for a couple of years and we knew about that, it threw me off because I was getting distracted. I would watch it and be like, okay, I enjoyed the scene, but then I think about how difficult it would be, like you said. Like, okay, how many takes did they do? How did they seamlessly edit these two takes together if there were multiple takes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or even thinking about like when they did those outside shots in Times Square. Like, was that
Yeah.
did they tell all those people just like, all right, pretend this is not Michael Keaton. This is a character that
This is a crazy man in his underwear
because
running through
I
the
gotta look
street.
it up because it's like I gotta look it up if I'm correct. I say a lot of things that like I believe are true. But then when I look it up, it's like it's sort of like halfway true. But I've always because I kind of learned it from The Office. Like I saw like a background story of The Office,
Mhm.
and when people film in New York, especially New York City, that New York does not allow for them to like close down streets and stuff. So like when you're filming out in the general public,
Oh, you're
you're
getting this
yeah,
everybody.
you're filming everybody. Yeah, and it's like you're not allowed to like tell them like, hey, like don't go here, don't go there and stuff. So it's like with these types of shots where he like wanders out into the roadway in his
Mhm.
underwear. There's a shot where like he's kind of like he gets stuck outside with the theater, and so he's to wander around to the front, which is pretty funny. It's and again, that's still it continues with that long take where it's like the cameraman's like following him as like he's being berated by all these people outside in Times Square. But I wonder if like some of those people are like are they like oh like amazed by it's Michael Keaton, or
Mhm.
is it like do they know understanding that
Well, it
there's a
could just be
movie
the
crew?
spectacle of it. Yeah, I think it's just more so the spectacle of like, oh, this is a movie crew, and there's a guy in his underwear. What are they filming?
Right.
And they just start recording. They grab their phones and just start recording.
Yeah, and it's kind of like one of those like guerrilla. It's more, I guess, like more controlled, but you get the reactions as the reactions from those people and everything, and that's what you got.
Yeah, and that's what you want. Like, you don't want a forced reaction from somebody.
True, true, because
But
you
do
can
you?
kind of like see past that. As a viewer, you're like, oh, that person just supposed told to like react like that. It's
Yeah,
fine.
they told him to smile right there.
Yeah.
But did you think? Did you think the movie? I'm guessing the movie touched on mental health because you see his character, but then he's also listening to his inner voice a lot.
Yeah, and that's what that was gonna lead me into like what I was gonna ask like what didn't you like? What didn't you like of this movie? And for me, it was sort of and yes, I think the story is this individual that had we all kind of have our limelight, our space in the sun, or time in the sun, and then eventually we kind of as naturally throughout life we kind of fade away into kind of like a menial existence where we sometimes people may want to kind of try to find their past spark to then kind of rekindle that into a later career, but it does seem like it's like kind of like that person that's trying to find like their last ditch effort to like stamp their mark on this life and then
Hmm.
transition away, and then that's like that I sort of saw it as like we as the viewer are that inner voice and the Birdman to him.
I could
And
see that, like, based off
yeah,
how the camera was. Like, the camera felt like you were a fly on the wall.
yes, yeah, and that's what I liked in terms of like walking away from it. I think the one thing I didn't I it's not I didn't like it. I was just like I think maybe I'll watch it again just to kind of get more of the nuances of the story. But
Hmm.
whether or not is the direction that the director wanted, or the script writer or the writer of this movie wanted the viewers to kind of lead to, is like what is the grand scheme of things, like what is he trying to drive for.
Yeah. What? I didn't like the daughter, honestly.
Emma Stone's character,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Sh-
she can
She
be
didn't
one
add
noted, where it's
anything.
just like she's
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's like the stereotypical daughter that
Rebellious because she didn't get affection from her parent. So now she's trying to lash out and went to rehab. And it didn't, at least to me, it didn't seem like it added anything to the story.
yeah,
Like there
no, there was no
was,
driving force as to why
yeah.
she's there.
I think there was one moment where it was like, okay, this is why she's in this role, or why she's so close to him now. I guess that's probably not the right way to say it, but the moment when he's basically just slowly becoming the Birdman, and I think they're still prepping for the first day of shooting, or the opening show, and you see the camera pan over and you see her with Edward Norton, and it seemed like that changed him a lot. Like he didn't know anything about what those two had going on, so for him to see it kind of secondhandedly, it seemed like that was the only moment where I was like, okay, cool, she's relevant right here only. Everything else she did didn't matter.
Yeah, that's true, and that is sort of like where that spark of the kind of climax of the movie is like that's
Yeah.
what leads to him to like have to wander around Times Square with his underwear and stuff. But that's true. It's like that's that one little spot where it's like, all right, there this character is pertinent to the story right now, but
Yes.
before it, it my girlfriend, she says that she's often kind of taken away or taken out of the story when they they have a character and they add the nuance of like, oh, they're like they have like drug addiction problems or or other issues that are like that, and then it really doesn't add to the story. You're just kind of creating a character that has this make not make believe, but like in real, like it kind of leads to where it's like, what did you why did you add that aspect to that character? Like what's
Hmm.
the point of that? And sometimes if it doesn't lead to an actual character kind of arc to it, then it's like, what's the point? You're just kind of like showing a damaged, often female character for no reason, and has this damage aspect to them, and there's no real pertinent reason why.
Yeah. Like I see if there was a connection between like the father's addiction, if he had some sort of addiction outside of the fame, and then they were touching on the daughter's addiction to drugs and whatever, that would have been more relevant to the story. But the fact that it was, okay, hey, my daughter's addicted to things, she went to rehab, now she's back in my life, we're trying to build something, and that's kind of it. She kind of was just around the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah, like just just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know. There's a lot of other characters like Zach Galifianakis' character, his lawyer, and I kind of took it as like they were like best friends and stuff, and like they were there through all the hard stuff or all the
Yeah.
good things of like his previous success. But even that character, like is there's not much going on with the character, but he's just an ever present person that like is a reminder to
The
the viewer
previous
that like,
glory.
oh yeah, and so there's always that, and he was an enjoyable character, and
I liked his character. Yeah. Like
I
he
feel
seemed
like
like he was willing to stick it out through thick and thin with him, even after the whole incident in during the show.
yeah, yeah, and being able to see the positives from
Mhm.
a nightmare situation probably.
Yeah.
And we all have those people. We all have those people in our lives where it's like just let's just keep the ball rolling and see if we can distract ourselves and let's just get on with life.
Let's get past this. Let's get through it. We got it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's like it the I think the acting in the entire movie, from all of them, Edward Norton, you kind of see as Edward Norton's like a very good actor, Michael Keaton
Mhm.
too, and the other characters around Michael Keaton, you see has to like, for me, I took away that like a lot of them are very top notch actors, and you're not there. And granted, the grand scheme of things is that Michael Keaton's character is trying to like put on this like Broadway show, which is enveloped by like how good the acting is, and sometimes you can win or lose based off how good the acting, and that's sort of the end of it, where it's like this like critical or this critic um kind of comes in and sees the play and all that stuff. And but yeah,
Yeah, I love that moment when she walked out, when everybody was applauding and
me too. Yeah, I was
she
like,
just
I
walks
pointed
out
at her.
just
I was
angry.
like, oh, she's there.
I really like that scene.
Yeah, it was intense, and especially like where you kind of see like he's pumping himself up too. Like it's
Mhm.
I saw this like behind the scenes fact of Jack Nicholson pumping himself up before uh the 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 Shining scene where he's like breaking through the door,
Oh,
and
yeah, the famous scene.
he's just like, you can tell he's just like running, he's like walking around the room getting ready. He grabs the prop, or I'm assuming, I'm hoping prop, but it did break through the wall. But he
No, that
grabbed
was what, 70s, 80s. That might not have been a
yeah,
problem.
right. And he's there, and he's like waving it around just to pump himself up, and then he like goes into it, and you kind of saw that where it's like you can tell probably like even myself like in a previous profession where it's like I had to go do presentations, like you kind of have to have like those like quick 5 seconds where you take a deep breath and you kind of pump yourself up, and you just go in there, and either you fail or you have some success.
It's
But
like an out of body experience,
I guess so. Yeah, oftentimes. But
or like you're disassociating from like yourself.
yeah, yeah, true.
Um,
But
yeah, something.
we come to the end of this, but what what the last question I have on my list and everything is would you add this film or movie, the Birdman, or Birdman, to your movie collection?
I think I would rent it again. Like I enjoyed it overall. I I think you touched on it earlier, but I think there's a deeper meaning to everything that happened in the movie. So I would want to watch it at least one more time just to kind of get that understanding, because there's so many pieces to it. Like you see this guy that's kind of out of his prime. You're watching that unfold, but then you're also watching his mental health kind of deteriorate. So you're seeing these things that aren't typical. And that part was just like a head scratcher. Like, okay, why is that happening? Why are they doing that? So I think I would have to watch it again before I can actually give you a legitimate answer to that.
I think so too. I thought that too, where it's like, especially with like the how the story kind of evolves over the time of the film. I think you will probably catch more things on a second going, and you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, like, oh, I now I understand why they did that. Now I understand why that led up to this. Um, but myself, I ended the my time where I was like, eh, I would buy it for my movie collection just to make note that I have watched it, to have it there. Maybe someone comes over and wants and sees like, oh, Birdman, I have never seen that. I want to watch it. But I will have it in my movie collection, but I probably wouldn't watch it again. Um, for me, where it's like it's just kind of taking mental note that like, oh, that's something I watched before, and
Yeah.
it's to kind of think back on it. But whether or not right now, I don't have the feeling that I would want to watch it again. Sometimes you end a movie and you're like, oh, totally, I want to watch that again. I want to watch it
Hmm.
next week or something. That's not something I got from this film, but it I would still want to kind of memorialize. I think there is some good to this film, like the how it was shot, the cinematography. I think that's something that anybody will kind of be able to point out and say that scene is actually it. But is that one take? Like you kind of question yourself here. It's like did everyone kind of run on the same gear at that moment? And so for me, I would say I would buy it and keep it in my collection, but I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, I think that's one of the. I think you have to be a movie fan in order to know of Birdman. You can't be a regular, an average movie watcher to be like, oh, let me check out Birdman.
Yeah, and especially to watch it. What it came out in 2014,
Yeah.
and
Or
especially to
watch it
even
in
want
2022.
and to watch it for the first time. The
Yeah.
the this we chose this movie because it was a movie that kind of popped up from in our minds, and both of us have never watched it, and it was a good chance to be able to watch something brand new and where we don't have a memory of watching it before, and we have our own kind of like expectations, but this was like a good kind of like way to start ourselves off where it's like we find a movie that we have not watched and we watch it, and then we kind of take our time to kind of like we let it compress in our minds and everything, and like I watched it and then I went to bed and stuff, and so I we were able to do that. You watched it this morning.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who doesn't like that? Who doesn't like waking up and immediately watching a movie? That's what Saturdays are for, right?
True. You can't watch cartoons anymore, so movies are
Yeah,
the
there's
next best
nothing.
thing.
Yeah, but yeah, and I do want to kind of like like give like I logged this. Kai kind of showed me to this app called Letterbox, and it's kind of a way to like track the movies that you've watched in the past and coming up into the future and stuff, and but you're able to kind of like rate them and and kind of write like a review for yourself, and it's a good way to catalog it, kind of like for me it's nice to kind of have the hobby of being able to watch a movie and then kind of write out my thoughts into a movie review that's pretty much only I read myself.
Yeah. Well, you may get some followers, so they may be like, "Oh yeah, I like his reviews," or "I'm not feeling it."
Yeah, and many probably a bunch of people are like, this guy can't write anything. Bunch of run-on sentences. But yeah, but I don't know. You have any last thoughts about Birdman?
It's, I think it's worth, yeah, I think it's worth a watch at least once, just to get that experience. Um, yeah, so I don't want to downplay how great of a movie it is, but I wouldn't run to add it to my collection.
Yeah, same here. I would definitely tell someone if they would ask either of us, do you recommend watching Birdman? I would say right now with how everything is, things are easy to stream, things are easy to access, and yes, I would say give it one watch and see how it goes. If you need to watch it again to kind of like see how the story goes, but I think you enjoy at least one aspect of this movie and say that was a good Saturday night for myself.
Yes, yes, that I think that's it. I think it's one of those, hey, I scrolled through all of my streaming services because everyone has more than one.
Yeah.
I can't figure out what I want to watch tonight. Oh, hey, there's a movie called Birdman from 2014. Let's put that on. I think it's one of those.
Yeah,
It
and if all
yeah,
else fails, you get to see Birdman or Michael Keaton in his underwear.
exactly. And Edward Norton with his butt cheeks out.
Yeah, yeah, with his butt cheeks out. And so if that appeals to you, I guess give it a go. But yeah, so that's I believe that's all our time and
Yeah.
everything, and
And Yeah, before we go, like we've already started talking about what the next movie's gonna be. I think we chose Eraserhead.
Yeah, that's definitely one. It's been on my docket to watch, and it comes up now, especially now. This we're recording this on October 22nd. So in the grand scheme of Halloween theme and just the spookiness of people want to associate with October, Eraserhead has been it's on HBO Max right now, and it's I think it's our next movie that we're gonna watch for the next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and thank you for joining Saturday Night Popcorn.
Till next time.